Okay, I'm passionate about the subject matter in this one because I'm centering this video on an author mindset that will not only hinder your chances of getting published, but also negatively affect your opinions on yourself, your work, and the publishing industry at large, which, though the subject of much warranted complaint, will always need to be wrestled with in some manner or another. I was reading a blog post recently about a young author trying to break into the industry. This is someone who has garnered a sizable social media following by documenting their literary experiences and journey, and really engaging with online communities, but is also yet to get any kind of publishing deal on her novels. And I don't want to name names, so I won't be sharing the link, but as you can imagine, there are countless authors who turn to blogs and Substack to reflect on both successes and failures as a budding author. Now I think about it, probably likely more than there are even living published novelists. That really shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. But what was most interesting to me was the narrative of the excitement of agents showing interest in her novels. Vicariously, this is always enormously fun to read. We all love to hear precisely the kind of praise that we're all actively seeking and not so secretly hope for ourselves one day. It's the same as finding posts online from authors who find their books in bookshops or even in people's hands for the first time. It's the kind of reading you find online that, more often than not, should and hopefully does fill you with hope. But this blog and this post in particular was not so hope-filled. It was a lot of reflection on praise received and milestones reached, but without that ultimate success. And of course, by ultimate success, I here mean getting a novel published. I should really clarify also that these are the reflections of someone who came incredibly close to getting traditionally published in a way that I won't be. My novel is being published by a small press, so I don't have an agent. But this person actually did get a yes from an agent, and was then quite heartbreakingly, I have to say, subsequently ghosted. For now, I'll say that it's 2026, and ghosting on the internet is more par for the course than it's ever been, unfortunately. And so by the end of this post, there is a lingering sense of resentment. The author received praise and encouragement from other agents, only then to be told that the work couldn't be accepted because it wasn't commercially viable enough or just wasn't a good fit for the agent's list. The blog post didn't really come to the conclusion that the industry is the problem, but it certainly hinted at it, and that bitterness becomes particularly prevalent when the author starts to read more contemporary fiction to try and identify what it is that their work might be missing. They then summarily decry some of the best known and most praised modern authors as, at the very least, unworthy of their station, if not outright calling them in some instances unreadable. And this irritated me more uniquely than anything else I'd read up to so far, because the examples put forward were not just works that had been picked up by the industry and were considered middling at best. The examples were of works that millions of people have bought and millions of people are still talking about. Works that had seen near unparalleled levels of success. And I'm not saying this as someone who comes from the perspective of adoring all contemporary fiction. A lot of it simply isn't my taste. But that's really kind of the point, I think. People are reading en masse works that you don't connect to, and then you wonder why you're struggling to get your work published. I think the main reason I wanted to make this video after reading that blog is that I really think this kind of mindset is a negative sum game, by which I mean it cannot serve you in any way. It doesn't help you get better. And I probably stress this more than anything else from my own experience as well, that just because your work doesn't fit a contemporary mold doesn't mean that it can't find a place. One of the reasons I respect my publisher for giving me a deal so much is because I knew when I started querying it that it was going to be an uphill battle. A novel about a convict on death row is not a clean and easy sell. And even though I did manage to get my publisher on board with it, this still proved to be the case because most agents I reached out to wished me luck but had very little else to say other than that. So, the title of the video: Getting published is not a puzzle to be solved. I think too many young authors particularly, but authors in general, come into this sphere of writing books with the mindset of, if I keep cracking away and I discipline myself and I write several novels and continue to learn over the years, eventually an agent will say yes because I have worked hard, because I have done everything I've been told I need to do. give unto Caesar Caesar's trophy, if that makes sense. It's not what I would call a brazen sense of entitlement, but I still think it's a sense of entitlement. And this isn't like studying for years and earning a degree. You are not owed recognition and a ceremony. I'm also not digging at people who work hard for qualifications, by the way. I'm just trying to make a comparison. So the reason that you can't look at it like a puzzle, ultimately, is because this is art. Most art will never be sold. Eventually, as an artist, you'll get to the stage that I got to, where you have to face up to the realization that you might never get anywhere with it, and you ask yourself if you still want to do it anyway. I forget which author said it, but the sentiment remains strong all the same, that you can't be a writer if you don't love the work. And I decided I love the work. For the most part, that is enough.